Some of the benefits of measuring performance and scalability include the ability to assess production readiness. We'll be able to determine whether the current system's requirements are met by the current infrastructure. We can also use this to predict future requirements based on anticipated growth of the application's user base. We can verify whether a particular system configuration, whether software or hardware, will be a net gain or loss in terms of performance and scalability by comparing these different configurations using performance and scalability tests. We'll also be able to verify whether the application meets desired performance requirements and whether or not it exceeds resource constraints, such as those on shared resources like database servers. We can use performance requirements to determine whether or not the impact of software changes has affected performance, and we can also compare current against desired performance characteristics to let us know whether or not we are on track for meeting performance requirements when the system ships. Finally, we can improve the efficiency of performance tuning when it becomes necessary by analyzing the application behavior at different load levels and also identifying bottlenecks. This can also provide information on how the application will perform and scale prior to release, so there are fewer surprises once a system is rolled out into production. Performance and scalability testing also brings some specific business advantages. For example, knowing what kinds of infrastructure needs, such as servers, etc., are required in order to meet performance and scalability goals allows the business to budget effectively for these purchases. It's also important to the business to know whether or not the current infrastructure will be sufficient to meet anticipated user demand, and also to predict when, given a particular growth pattern, such infrastructure will no longer be sufficient. Sometimes applications have spikes in their usage, and it's useful for the business to also know what will happen when such a spike occurs and the current infrastructure's capacity is exceeded. Will the application simply fail? Will some users be able to enter while others are turned away? Will the system return back to a usable state once the spike in traffic subsides? These are questions that can be answered by certain performance and scalability tests that are important to the business. Of course, there are also benefits for us as developers. For instance, one of the things that these performance and scalability tests provide is reassurance. They provide us assurance that as we make updates to the system, we are not creating performance problems. This is important because it allows us to stay focused. We can have a focus on delivering business value and building the system as simply as possible without getting hung up on premature optimizations that add complexity and may not be needed at all. When it does come time for us to tune the application in order to address any performance issues, the tests will provide clues and evidence that will minimize the time that's wasted during such tuning by providing the needed data for us to easily identify the source of bottlenecks or the particular update to the system that introduced the performance issue.